The men's parallel bars final is next. Hope you're enjoying the action from Varna and this first World Cup in the Challenge Cup series of 2025. Co-pair is next. That will be coming along next weekend in Slovenia. Then we go to Tashkent in June. And the Paris World Challenge Cup in late September. Right at the end of September, Szombathely in Hungary completes the Challenge Cup series. We've already had the 6 World Cups in Cottbus, Baku, Antalya, Osijek, Doha and Cairo. All of the series winners have been crowned. The finalists in the men's parallel bars competition. The top performer in qualification, Ferhat Arujan of Turkey, and he will be the 4th to go. His score was 14.05. So here they are, the finalists for the men's parallel bars competition. We've got some very experienced gymnasts on this apparatus about to perform for you. It should be a good standard of final, and we'll hand over now to our in-venue arena floor presentation staff for the official introductions. Warm-ups about to begin for this men's parallel bars final. In the first half, we have got the 6th, 5th, 7th best qualifiers and then the top qualifier. So we'll start with Ding Phung Tang of Vietnam, then Petr Vefic of Serbia, Luis Ilsung Melander of Sweden and Ferhat Arujan of Turkey. All of this taking place in the city of Varna, 3rd largest in Bulgaria and the largest seaside resort on the beautiful Bulgarian Black Sea coast. It's an incredible place with so much rich history, quite literally rich history actually, because the oldest gold treasure in the world was discovered in the Varna necropolis, dated to around 4,500 BCE. And they've found about 300 burial sites in the necropolis with over 3,000 golden items. It's just an extraordinary archaeological haul, allowing us to learn so much about the construction of ancient civilizations, the lives that they lived, and how many extraordinary ancient civilizations have been based in this part of the world. First time that Varna was actually mentioned by name was by Theophanes the Confessor, part of the Byzantine aristocracy. Gives you an idea of just how far back we're going. The Thracians have settled here over the years. In ancient Greece, this place was known as Odessus. Still retained its name as Varna. An association with the Byzantine Empire, as I mentioned earlier. It's just incredible. Then the Ottoman Empire had a very big presence here in the 16th and 17th centuries. You just can learn so much about the history of Europe and the history of so much of this part of the world simply through studying Varna itself, because so many overlapping civilizations have trodden the paths of the streets of the city. So many gymnasts as well over the years have been here. It's not just held artistic competitions, it's held competitions in rhythmic gymnastics, the European Championships several years ago were here. That was thought by many to be a real high point in the career of Boriana Kalane, until she then went on to win the European all-around title and finished as the silver medalist at the Olympic Games in Paris, the conclusion of an incredible career. So there is great reverence for the arts in this city. It's got a long association with ballet. Varna has a huge international competition that's been going since the 1960s. Some fabulous museums. It actually hosted the Chess Olympiad as well in the 1960s, and that was just before it hosted its first edition of the Rhythmic Gymnastics World Championships in 1969. So just a little scratching of the surface of this fascinating place before we delve deeply into this parallel bars final. Here we go. Well, what a privilege to have an experienced gentleman like Dinh Phuong Thanh of Vietnam competing here. An Olympian from Tokyo, 11 times a Southeast Asian Games gold medalist. He is one of the absolute greats from his region. Very nice move into handstand. Looking quite precise so far. Oh, that was nice. Bit of style going into the Bavzar. It's had a few flickers here and there of readjustment, but not a huge number. There was an example. Brief positional reset halfway through the tip-elt. And he has a slight sideways adjustment as he lands, but some very elegant gymnastics on show there from Dinh Phuong Thanh of Vietnam. A gymnast who's been honoured by his country. He's been given a whole selection of national awards. First really came to international attention with a bronze medal on the parallel bars at the Asian Games in 2014. So many honours have followed. He's been a World Cup champion on this apparatus too. That was in Hungary and Koper in 2016 and 2018. In qualification, and exactly the same in the final. Completely the same balance of difficulty and execution too. The most difficult routine we anticipate being Ferhat Arujan's, again no surprise there.
Representing Serbia, Petar Bektic.
We come now to one of the best executed pieces of gymnastics in qualification. Petar Vefic of Serbia, not an enormous difficulty score, but he looked very tidy in the preliminary round with a 13.15 number for 5th place. He's made a couple of parallel bars finals, and he was 4th on this apparatus here in 2023. And again, the execution here is very crisp. Nice straddle front. Ah, shame. Hands down and a mark gone. Lovely on the apparatus though, Petar Vefic. The gymnast who has competed at the World Championships on 3 occasions, 4 times at the European Championships. He didn't have many adjustments to his position actually in contact with the bars. Kept his heels very much together when they needed to be, the straightness of the legs. All of it had very good mechanics. But as he landed, leaning forwards, and the hands down, it's a shame. 25-year-old scored 13.15 in qualification. And it's 12.3 on this occasion. He was actually on course to do better than in the preliminary stage. Fahad Adojan there going through his routine in his mind, little visualizations as we wait for Luis Ilsung Melander. He competed in the rings final yesterday. And it will be very interesting to see if the gentleman after him can stamp his authority on this final. Luis Ilsung Melander of Sweden, 7th best in qualification, a score of 12.95. This is the 9th time that he's been in a World Cup final, or in a World Cup, I should say. Too has got a sense of smoothness, hit that handstand beautifully. Goes with purpose with the straddle front somersault. Tip helt, unfortunately, didn't quite work, and that is essentially a fall. Oh, that's a nice dismount too. Oh. Well, you can see it in his reaction. Just came back down onto the bars from the tip helt, and a mark will go for that. There's got to be a continuous and uninterrupted upwards movement of the hips. So much of this was really very nice. there you can see that there's clear interruption to the tip belt, and he comes to rest down on the apparatus. Then after that, into the pike position, very stylish. Had a similar experience on the rings. It was almost as it needed to be. 7 times he's been a national champion across a combination of apparatus. 12.1. Does lose a little difficulty from qualification. Overall, he's down by just over 3/4 of a mark. Well, the stage, you would think, is set now for the man from Turkey to seize control. The man who has twice been the champion of Europe on this apparatus, who was on the Olympic podium in Tokyo. There's going to be very high difficulty, that is clear. There always is with him. How will the clarity of execution be? That's been the issue so far this season. But he did win the gold medal in Antalya in his home World Cup. Took bronze in Osijek.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Turkey,
Ferhat Aruzhan of Turkey, top qualifier with 14.05. We welcome the 2-time champion of Europe and the gentleman who won the bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympics on this apparatus. There will be plenty of ambition in this display. We'll watch for what he does on the single rail. Nice opening handstand, looked really clean. And there we go, handstand on the single rail. First of those we've seen. Comes out of it well. And another. Very good. He has lots of effective changes of direction to bolster the difficulty. Well, that's going to go into the lead for Aruzhan of Turkey. Very nice performance. 14.05 in qualification. He looked crisp in those handstands on the single rail. We look back at this display that was striking for its absence of real breaks in the leg form. And that has been a bit of an issue for him at times, losing the togetherness of the heels. And minimal landing adjustment. What's the number going to be for Ferhat Aruzhan? So proud to represent his nation. He was the first to go to the Olympic Games in 108 years in men's gymnastics at one point. Now you can't keep Turkish gymnasts from the Games. 14.3, comfortable gold medal position. It's going to be very difficult for anyone to come forward and beat that score. What we have to come in the second half of the final is Sofus Hegemsnes, 13.3 in qualification. Habibullah Ergashev, 12.95 in qualification. Niels Dunkel, 13.25 in qualification. And Robert Tvoregal, 13.45 in qualification. Certainly there's room to get onto the podium, even if they can't match Aruzhan's score. But the gentleman in the background there, Robert Tvoregal, is a wonderful gymnast on this apparatus, Lithuanian trailblazer. And it's not as though we've had an absence of good quality German routines on parallel bars over the years. Niels Dunkel certainly can contend for the podium. And it's going to be very interesting that he will be the last to go. Robert Tvoregal, who won the bronze medal on the parallel bars at the European Championships in 2020. That was the first ever Lithuanian medal at the European Championships of Artistic Gymnastics. It got rather overshadowed when later in that day he won the gold medal on the horizontal bar, but it was the parallel bars that was the history-making first ever moment for his nation. He's got full colours at the European Championships, twice a silver medal on the horizontal bar, including last year. It was very interesting hearing what he had to say around the time of the Olympiad, when he remarked on the fact that he doesn't tend to show much emotion when he's competing, but that he actually feels a great deal of fear in training, particularly. Not in competition, where he says the adrenaline lets him take over, or lets him overtake that fear and replace it with a positive energy. But in training, he's very nervous, especially when he has to learn new skills. And it's lovely to hear an athlete speak that honestly, because it's natural to fear learning new skills and trying something you've not done before. For some gymnasts, it's the other way around, isn't it? They are more comfortable in training than they are in the big atmosphere of a final. There is somebody who enjoys performing, somebody who's a great entertainer. This young man returning to a place of great triumph for him, where he won a gold medal on the horizontal bar in 2023 for the first ever Norwegian World Cup title. Sofus Hegemsnes of Norway, 25, from the capital city of Oslo, and an Olympian from Tokyo. 13.3, the third best score in the qualification phase. That would put him into the silver medal position. Great core strength to rescue that, but a lot of deductions. And again, he has to reset the tippelt. So I'm afraid, oh my goodness, the work he's having to put in here, the core strength is remarkable. He's really having to improvise his way through this routine. I don't know how he's managed to stay on, it's extraordinary. Oh, how did he dismount like that, considering what he'd been through on the apparatus? That was a remarkable conclusion. It certainly wasn't the routine he was aiming for. But I do think 9 out of 10 gymnasts would have come off the apparatus at least once. It's remarkable. He made it look so natural to get out of these losses of position that you could almost be forgiven for thinking that he was deliberately demonstrating shows of core strength. And then to hit that double pike landing, brilliant. Told you it was entertaining. He's spoken very movingly of his struggles with dyslexia when he was at school, and a wonderful teacher called Therese Falk who turned his life around through understanding him and helping him. She's a great athlete in her own right, a Nordic record holder in ultramarathon, would you believe? He met with her recently and was moved to tears, found it very difficult to speak in her presence, so big was the impact that she'd had. He has a huge number of fans across the world. He's the reigning Norwegian all-around champion, won the title in September of last year. Bit of scrutiny of the deductions likely going on here. Quite a complicated routine to assess. Meanwhile, next gymnast waiting to go, Khabibullo Agashiev, the antepenultimate performer in the final. That was a routine characterised by exceptional saves. We're going to see him in the horizontal bar final later. 11.433. Does lose quite a bit of difficulty as well. Now then, to the 8th best in qualification, but somebody who could well find himself challenging for a place on the podium, the way this final's going. Khabibullo Agashiev of Uzbekistan, 26, from by the border with Tajikistan in Varna, and a top 50 performer in the all-around at the Olympic Games. 41st place, did very well. That's very smooth. Just had a little break in his form, perhaps. Slight adjustment in that handstand, which felt a touch on the sideways side. But this is good. A little compression there, had to recover from an arm bend. And that's a good conclusion from Khabibullo Agashiev. Now, how will that do? At the moment, 14.3 leads, then 13 holding second place, and 12.3 is good enough for bronze as things stand. It's been a strange parallel bars final, and there's a chance for somebody to step forward. He's somebody, by the way, who is in that returning to competition phase, having taken a little break after the Olympiad. Very healthy to do it, right to do it for so many athletes, I'm sure, after the intensity of the qualification process and the training process. Good to just go on holiday for a bit, do something else for a short while, then come back into competition and build towards the next games. 13, there we go. He has improved on his qualification display by half a tenth, and he's up there in medal contention. But we've got 2 to go, and this gentleman certainly can make a very good case for being on the podium. Two-time Olympian Niels Dunkel, and a top 20 at the Olympic Games in the all-around competition. Brilliant accomplishment. Any gymnast who makes it to that level has earned their place in the record books. Niels Dunkel, fourth best in qualification, 13.25 his score. He's another in his return phase after a little post-Olympics recharge. All of this is looking nice and tidy and in control. They got plenty of height in the straddle front somersault. A little bit of a waving of the body going into that handstand, and there's the overarch that just seemed to be coming. And his dismount was a little on the low side, quite bent, but some good work in that routine, and the difficulty might be competitive within the context of this final and the top three places. We only have one to go after the score is in for Niels Dunkel. Did well to avoid a hand going down. Delighted to be back and very pleased with that number, 13.533. 5.3 for difficulty. Niels Dunkel is into the silver medal position. He's guaranteed a place on the podium. We wait to see if Robert Tvorgal can join him. 3 times an Olympian, this gentleman. The 30-year-old from Vilnius, Robert Tvorgal, European Championship bronze medalist on the parallel bars in 2020, winner of 13 World Cup medals. Good save, very good save. He's so experienced that he manages to minimize quite important deductions. And he was very low as he landed that, did a great job in staying on his feet. Now the question is whether those deductions will all amount to a little too much, but he certainly stopped them being substantially higher than they might have been. Mostly trains overseas, Robert Tvorgal. Spent a lot of time in France in the build-up to the Games to practice on the Olympic equipment. He's had some lovely words to say about his coach and how he's like family to him, that they are ultimately great friends more than anything else. That's the starting point for their working relationship. Been working together now for about 10 years. The leading score remains 14.3, that's Ferhat Arujan. Second is 13.533, Niels Dunkel. Then we have 2 gymnasts on 13, Sting Fun Tang and Khabibullo Ergashiev. And Torregal just misses out, a score of 12.8. A little too many deductions here and there, and he didn't have the sort of difficulty cushion that others did with 5.0, his D score. We compare that to Dunkel, who had a 5.3, for example. So all of that means that it is a gold medal to Ferhat Arujan. And we'll bring you the classified results in just a moment before we proceed directly to the award ceremony. Let's have a look back at how the medals were won.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's invite with huge applause champions on parallel bars.
The classified results in the men's parallel bars competition. Bronze to Habibullah Agashiev of Uzbekistan on the execution tie-break. Silver to Germany's Niels Dunkel, and the gold medal won by Ferhat Arujan, Turkish gymnast. First place again.
Third place and bronze medal, representing Uzbekistan, Habibullah Ergashev.
The bronze medal in the men's parallel bars competition to Habibullah Agashiev of Uzbekistan.
Second place and silver medal, representing Germany, Niels Dunkel.
Silver won by Niels Dunkel of Germany.
And first place and gold medal, representing Turkey, Ferhat Arkan.
The title to Ferhat Arujan of Turkey.
Third place award.
And that's his second parallel bars gold medal in World Cup or World Challenge Cup competition this season.
Second place awards FIG technical delegate Steve Butcher.
Второ място награждава Стив Бъчър, делегат на ФИК.
And first place award, President of Bulgarian Federation of Artistic Gymnastics, Vice Olympic Champion Krasimir Dunev.
Първо място награждава Красимир Дунев, президент на Българска федерация гимнастика.
And we'll now have the national anthem of Turkey.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise up for the national anthem of Turkey. bars world champions and march out.
There they are, the medalists in the men's parallel bars competition at the Varna World Challenge Cup in Bulgaria.